far, it and Arcanine are by far the two most dominant Pokemon in the format when it comes to usage. So having something like a Togedemaru, which is able to, just either prevent Tapu Koko from being brought or just shut it down if it is brought, that's huge. However, if you have Discharge, you can't have Togedemaru alongside something like a Tapu Fini or a Mandibuzz, because if it has Discharge, you're not going to be able to protect them.
Yeah, and Mandibuzz is just going to get hit with that Discharge. Of course, there are some strategies where you use Discharge with Lightning Rod in order to boost that special attack, but Togedemaru is more known as a physical attacker with access to that Zing Zap. So here we are in team preview. Satoshi Iwataki on your left, getting ready to face off against Ryota Otsubo, the Japanese national champion, here in the top 16 of the 2017 Pokemon Video Game World Championships. Go ahead and give it up for both of these players who have fought so hard to make it to where they are now, and it all comes down to this. Winner of this moves on to the top 8 and one step closer to becoming the world champion.
Yeah, Celesteela is looking really interesting in this matchup because if you're able to shut down those the physical attackers that are super effective against it, the Togedemaru, the Arcanine, with the likes of something like a Krookodile, even Marowak is good against both of those two Pokemon. Celesteela can really just carry this match. It doesn't really care about whatever Snorlax throws at it. It's bulky enough to take Tapu Fini's attacks. It can Flamethrower the Kartana, and it can just stall the game out with Leech Seeds, constantly heal up, and be a real pain to try and take out.
And here we go. Timer is cutting it pretty close. Satoshi barely getting his team selection in right there. Just goes to show how much thought players have to put into team selection. That is one of the most important aspects of this game, because if you pick incorrectly, that could lead to some issues going on.
Absolutely. Not only the leads, but the entire team. You have to pick, the 4 Pokemon that you think are really going to be best. And it's such a difficult choice. Even though you're bringing 4 of 6, I mean, it's such a difficult process, and you only have a minute and a half to do that.
And Ryota now going to go ahead and lead with Tapu Fini and Krookodile. On the other side, Satoshi going to lead with Tapu Fini and Arcanine. Krookodile and Arcanine are going to trade Intimidates here. Both Pokemon are known to be physical attackers. Tapu Fini not going to care too much here, and it appears that the Arcanine is going to be faster than the Krookodile because its Intimidate did go off first, and it looks like the Tapu Fini over on Ryota's side may be outspeeding the Tapu Fini on Satoshi's side because it was the one that set the terrain.
Yeah, so really important speed information that turn, but what's really interesting is that the Arcanine did outspeed the Krookodile. Now, Arcanine is actually a faster Pokemon naturally. Its base speed is higher. However, Krookodile is usually trained to be a pretty fast Pokemon. Meanwhile, Arcanine is usually trained to be much bulkier, especially on the special side of things, to be able to take a bunch of hits. So perhaps this Arcanine is more of an offensive Arcanine, which isn't as common, because you have to imagine the Krookodile was probably trained to outspeed the normal supportive, bulkier Arcanines.
Yep, just things about the Japanese metagame, really. Always some curveballs thrown here and there, although offensive Arcanine did gain some popularity and some momentum coming into this format. Arcanine on Satoshi's side now going to switch out, going to go straight into Mandibuzz and activate that Misty Seed, that combo that we see so much. Going to go ahead and boost its special defense, as the Tapu Fini on Satoshi's side going to protect itself. It appears now it's just going to go ahead and go for a Groundium Z attack using that Tectonic Rage. It most likely might be targeting down what was that Arcanine slot, which means that Satoshi may have made a very good call.
Either way, it would go into the Tapu Fini slot if he targets the other slot, and Tapu Fini protected, so it doesn't really care about an intimidated Tectonic Rage.
It does hit that Tapu Fini for minimal damage, essentially a quarter of what would have been dealt normally, and wow, that did nothing at all. And now Tapu Fini actually goes for an attack into the protecting Tapu Fini, and it is revealed that the Tapu Fini over on Satoshi's side will be carrying the leftovers, trying to provide some more residual health back.
So that's also big information, finding out that it has leftovers. It's not going to be, more of a damaging set from the Tapu Fini. Of course, revealing Protect as well, confirms that it's not something like a Choice Specs, but then leftovers, again, confirming it's probably even bulkier than you might have normally expected. Double targeting that slot was a pretty good play. Even though it didn't work out, I like it, because Arcanine probably going to switch out. Doesn't have a great matchup against Krookodile or Tapu Fini, especially after the Intimidate. So might as well double target that Tapu Fini slot, because that is definitely posing more of a threat to Ryota.
Yep, and of course, that Arcanine was heavily threatened with not only that Tectonic Rage, but also a possible Muddy Water from the Tapu Fini on Ryota's side. Krookodile now revealing that it does have Taunt here. Going to go ahead and shut down Mandibuzz, a very well-known support Pokemon, and it looks like
that Tailwind failed.
Yep, it's going to be a Moonblast here from Ryota's, ooh, a special attack drop too, so a little bit of luck in favor of Ryota as Satoshi's Tapu Fini goes for a Calm Mind, trying to give it some boost, but now it's essentially a nullified special attack boost, but it does have one stage of increased special defense.
Yeah, which will help against Moonblast, but, you know, it's not going to be able to deal a ton of damage thanks to the previous Moonblast special defense drops. That's definitely good for Ryota, and it does reveal the Calm Mind, so this Tapu Fini definitely want to deal with it pretty quickly because it is dangerous if it gets set up. The taunt was really nice on that Mandibuzz. Foul Play is its only damaging attack usually, and it's negligible against both of these two resisted Pokemon, especially after Krookodile took an Intimidate, so Foul Play just not going to deal a whole lot of damage. You have to imagine Mandibuzz will switch out after the taunt, so really nice play there by Ryota.
Even the Tapu Fini took an attack drop if you think about it.
That's true.
The Krookodile on Ryota's side now switching out, going to switch into Tapu Koko, going to change up the terrain and threaten the Tapu Fini and that Mandibuzz heavily, but if that Mandibuzz stays in, it's not really going to be doing much anyways, and it does have to come out and sacrificing its special defense boost that it got because it was functioning in that terrain. Arcanine going to come right back in for Satoshi's side, using Intimidate, not going to matter too much against both of these well-known special attackers here. And Ryota, oh no, it looks like Satoshi's Tapu Fini is going to protect itself, preserving it for one more turn, as yet another Moonblast from Ryota going to connect into that Protect.
Amazing turn there for Ryota. He knows Mandibuzz is going to switch out. He brings Tapu Koko in. Not only is Mandibuzz now losing that special defense boost, considering Tapu Fini, Tapu Koko both prey on it with special attacks and deal a lot of damage to it, so you lose that for later. But now you also threaten Tapu Fini with your Tapu Koko. You have the terrain advantage to kind of cancel out that special defense boost from Calm Mind. Meanwhile, Tapu Fini has a fantastic matchup against the Arcanine, so Ryota's got to be feeling good about his position right here, especially after that Tapu Fini just protected last turn. However, you do still have to be aware of that potential Togedemaru.
Yeah, you have to respect any sort of possible Lightning Rod switch, and even Ryota could have a possible switch in with that Marowak to draw away any electric type attacks. You know, Arcanine do carry a Wild Charge. Togedemaru comes in right now, the little electric steel ball, gonna try to redirect any sort of electric attack and protect that Tapu Fini over on Satoshi's side. Satoshi is gonna get intimidated by that Krookodile that Ryota switches in place of the Tapu Fini over on his own side. And now it looks like Tapu Koko goes for an electric attack. It's gonna go be lightning rodded away, but it is a discharge. So that is very synergistic, and that does so much damage to that Tapu Fini despite the fact that it got that Calm Mind up.
What a turn there by Ryota, you know, expecting that Togedemaru to come in, and why wouldn't you? That's the one thing that is keeping Tapu Fini safe. Switches out his own Tapu Fini to bring in Krookodile, goes for the discharge. Even if Togedemaru doesn't come in, that's hitting Arcanine really hard with the Life Orb and with the electric terrain, so a great turn there by Ryota, especially since Tapu Fini had just protected the turn before.
Yeah, and of course there's always that chance for paralysis as well on that Arcanine. It's pretty high chance to get paralyzed by discharge, more so than Thunderbolt.
And now with what's it Satoshi has left, Togedemaru doesn't threaten much damage. Mandibuzz isn't threatening much damage against what we've seen from Ryota so far. It's only this Arcanine remaining, and Arcanine doesn't really want to face a Krookodile and a Tapu Koko under electric terrain. This is going to be a tough matchup for Satoshi, especially with Tapu Fini in the back still for Ryota.
Yep, Mandibuzz comes right back in, but like you said, it can easily get shut down in terms of getting taunted by that Krookodile. And the Foul Play is not doing any damage at all to that Krookodile or that Tapu Koko thanks to that Darkness resistance. Now Togedemaru goes for a Fake Out, going to make this Krookodile flinch and be able to set up a possible taunt. And it looks like it's going to be another discharge here, going to hit into that Lightning Rod on that Togedemaru. It's immune on the Krookodile, and that still does so much damage because it sacrificed its special defense boost that it got from that Misty Seed earlier. And it looks like Mandibuzz now is able to set up a Tailwind to try to give his team a little last push of support.
Yeah, that's what Satoshi needed. Decided to fake out the Krookodile that threatened a taunt onto the Mandibuzz rather than fake outing the Tapu Koko, which threatened damage. So he really valued the Tailwind. Let's see if he can put it to good use. But, I mean, intimidated Togedemaru with its only attack likely being Zing Zap. Mandibuzz, its only attack likely Foul Play. Neither of those moves are doing much damage at all to the two Pokemon that Ryota has on the field right now. So I don't know if Tailwind is really enough.
Yeah, and I know we always say that if there's a chance, there's a way, but you can't even flinch that Krookodile with that Zing Zap at all. So looking really tough for Satoshi to make that comeback. Arcanine does come back in, gonna use its Intimidate ability to lower the attack stat of that Krookodile yet again, weaken the amount of physical damage that Krookodile puts out. And here it is. Here comes the first Zing Zap. Barely
Hoping
does
for
any
the
damage
flinch.
at all, and it doesn't look like it's going to flinch at all. And now it's going to be a dazzling gleam to be able to break a possible focus sash on that Togedemaru. And again, more life or recoil, so that's information for Satoshi to have. And here it comes, the Krookodile going for a very powerful crunch onto that Togedemaru. And of course, there's a defense drop.
Yep, so Satoshi does get to bring in his Arcanine here under Tailwind, and we're kind of expecting it to be a more offensive Arcanine based on that speed order compared to the Krookodile that we saw on turn 1. So if it is, it does threaten perhaps the damage needed to kind of pull this back for Satoshi, but considering there's still Krookodile, Tapu Koko, Tapu Fini in the back, it's going to be really difficult for Arcanine here to kind of claw this back, and there's still one other Pokemon that Ryota has.
Yeah, there's a lot of Pokemon to KO, and I just don't... I believe in Togedemaru, I believe in Mandibuzz, I believe in Satoshi, but I just don't think that there's enough offensive firepower to pick up the necessary KOs here. Krookodile going to retreat, reset its attack stat for later on, and also use that Intimidate for later on as well. And here is the Marowak. It's going to go ahead and draw away any possible Zing Zap, and also be able to take a Flare Blitz way better. Here comes a Zing Zap into that Lightning Rodded away by that Marowak, and there's the Flare Blitz right there into the Tapu Koko. So essentially a dead turn. The Electric Train does whittle away.
And there's another Pokemon that Arcanine just doesn't want to face off against. So your one damaging Pokemon that you have on Satoshi's side doesn't have a good matchup against any of the Pokemon that Ryota has. Tapu Fini, Marowak, Krookodile, Tapu Koko. It's just, it's going to be really tough. You can't even go for a Zing Zap anymore with Togedemaru. You don't even have any other damaging moves on it. It's just pretty much sitting there, just drawing away electric attacks, but not doing anything else.
I've actually lost count of the turns of Tailwind. I think there might be one more turn left. I don't think I've seen the message that it petered away.
Yep,
just
Tailwind's still going to be up, so Arcanine should still be faster, but I don't know if that's really enough.
Yeah, I was just saying that it could be a threat to Encore that Tapu Koko into Protect as an option, but at the same time, Tapu Koko just switches out, so that was not an option at all. Tapu Koko switches out, Tapu Fini comes right back in, of course, still being able to threaten the Mandibuzz with a Moonblast. Of course, Marowak, with its high attack stat, can also threaten with a Flare Blitz into either slot and do so much damage, as Togedemaru, using its Spiky Shield, gonna get a little bit of chip damage right there thanks to that Spiky Shield recoil. And yep, that's really it for the turn.
Yeah, that's good, though, getting Mandibuzz in. It is good against the Marowak, but still, Togedemaru can't attack the Tapu Fini thanks to Marowak's Lightning Rod. Meanwhile, Tapu Fini threatens to KO onto both of these Pokemon. If Ryota wants to get a little risky, he can go for the Muddy Water and try and get a double knockout, but it might be safer because that can always miss, and that might be one of the ways you actually let Satoshi back into the game. So maybe go for just a Fairy move that's going to knock one of these Pokemon out rather than an outright Muddy Water that at least has the potential to double miss. But even if he goes for the Muddy Water, like if he has something like a Choice Specs, then might as well just lock into Muddy Water. You still have Marowak protecting you, and you can just protect with Marowak or switch it out.
Marowak switching out right now. Gonna switch back into the Krookodile here. It's going to go ahead and use its Intimidate ability to lower the attack stat of that Togedemaru. Of course, one great thing for Satoshi coming from this game is that you kind of know what Ryota's game plan is because he was able to see what that fourth Pokemon on Ryota's side is. So that might help him be able to adjust. Mandibuzz using Roost, going to heal back 50% of its health. And here comes a dazzling Liam from that Tapu Fini. Does so much damage. I believe it picks up the KO on that Togedemaru and does so much damage to that Mandibuzz because of the super effectiveness of it.
Yeah, so that's probably signaling that this Tapu Fini has either a lot of special attack investment or something like a Choice Specs, allowing it to deal, massive amounts of damage, even to Pokemon that just take neutral hits and that are generally pretty bulky, like a Mandibuzz is.
Yep, and now the last Pokemon for Satoshi coming in. Satoshi using a little bit of the clock here, most likely trying to figure out what his game plan is for the next game, and also trying to process all that information he's learning in this set.
Yeah, at this point, if you're Satoshi, you're looking towards Game 2. What do you need to do differently? Because, it's not like he's got a decision right here. He's only got one Pokemon to switch in. So he's really looking towards Game number 2. What kind of Pokemon does he want to bring in Game 2? What adjustments does he want to make? Because clearly this match, Ryota just had him at every single turn. There was just never a point in this match where Satoshi was really in the lead.
And Arcanine comes right back out, going to use its Intimidate ability yet again on that Krookodile, but really a Dazzling Gleam and Krookodile can just continue to Earthquake to try to get the KO, and of course there's still 2 more Pokemon in the back anyways.
Yeah, so not looking too good here for Satoshi, but he's got the type of team that is able to come back in game number 2. He's clearly got some adjustments to make. He knows now that Tapu Koko has discharged, so there's some adjustments to be made for sure.
Yeah, and Krookodile, again, going for a taunt on that Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz can't move because of that taunt right there. Of course, Mandibuzz loves using all of its, support moves, Tailwind, Roost.
Yeah, I went for a Roost there just to heal back up. Unfortunately, the taunt came through, so not able to really do anything. Foul play wouldn't have been any better, so...
Yeah,
here
that Arcanine, Arcanine did a lot of damage to that Crocodile, maybe signifying that it is a more offensive Arcanine.
Yeah, so we do get to see that the Arcanine is a little bit more offensive in nature, so that's some good information for Ryota heading into game number 2, but for Satoshi, he's definitely got a lot to consider here. That Discharge Tapu Koko just did so much work. His only answer seemed to be having that Togedemaru. However, Discharge bypasses that Lightning Rod ability. It just, it's good against the Mandibuzz, good against Tapu Fini, faster than Arcanine, and under Electric Terrain just can do massive damage to it. It's such a tough Pokemon to deal with when your only answer is really the Togedemaru. So I'd like to see maybe an adjustment. I think Kartana would be a nice choice. It's good against Krookodile. It can resist Tapu Koko. Depending on how the Kartana is trained, it might be able to take attacks a little bit better. It does have to watch out for the paralysis, of course, from Discharge. But it's good against those two. It's good against Tapu Fini. Perhaps that's the type of adjustment you want to see from Satoshi in game number 2. Kartana could definitely put in some work in this matchup. So maybe it's time to change things up and bring it.
Yep, Ryota right there actually took the win. Satoshi ended up forfeiting that game. So now Ryota is just 1 win away from making it all the way to the top 8 of the World Championships. Satoshi's tournament life now is on the line, and he has to take as much time as possible to try to come up with a game plan because, like you said, Ryota was in control of the game the entire time. That Krookodile with taunt is going to be such a big problem for that Mandibuzz.
Yeah, especially Krookodile showing that it's faster than Mandibuzz. We actually saw the Mandibuzz, it can be trained to be, decently fast, but in this case, it was not trained to be very fast. Usually they rely on Tailwind instead, but sometimes you do see Mandibuzz opt to be a little bit faster, even though they do have Tailwind. In this case, Mandibuzz isn't. The Krookodile just outsped it. Arcanine, though, we saw confirmation that it is a very offensive Arcanine, and it is, of course, faster than Krookodile, so there's some options there. I still like Mandibuzz in this matchup just for the Marowak and for the speed control, but we definitely saw how Ryota has so many answers to Mandibuzz. None of his Pokemon other than Marowak care about foul play whatsoever.
Yeah, and if you look at Satoshi's team composition, that Marowak is a huge problem, right? Mandibuzz is really one of the only breakers of that Marowak. You can rely on that Muddy Water, but with all that support over on Ryota's side to try to get rid of that that Tapu Fini on the other side, it's going to be tough for just Tapu Fini to try to take it out on its own.
Yeah, absolutely, and we do see a bit of an adjustment here. We do see the Kartana come in from Satoshi, like we kind of mentioned before this match started, that it might be a pretty good adjustment. However, Ryota also adjusts, brings in Celesteela, which is fantastic against Kartana. He intimidates with the Krookodile, lowering Kartana's attack. Meanwhile, that Celesteela threatens a flamethrower onto Kartana. Kartana probably not going to be able to KO Krookodile, so if Ryota does want to risk the damage onto Krookodile in exchange for flamethrowing the Kartana, he can keep Krookodile in and go for a taunt on the Mandibuzz. So it all depends how Ryota wants to play this. Does he want to let Tailwind get up, or does he want to risk damage and a potential critical hit to his Krookodile in order to either get a flamethrower on Kartana and then possibly taunt the Mandibuzz?
Yeah, of course, Kartana is a known user of Leaf Blade. Of course, Leaf Blade also has a high critical hit ratio. Can try to fish for a critical hit really to bypass that Intimidate and get the KO on that Krookodile if that's the way that Satoshi wants to play. Arcanine comes in right now, going to use its Intimidate ability on that Krookodile over on the other side, on Ryota's side here, and it looks like Kartana is forced to detect not wanting to get KO'd by that Celesteela. This Arcanine is going to be a very offensive one and can actually threaten that Celesteal on the other side, so that might be important. But here comes an Earthquake from that Crocodile onto that Arcanine. Does so much damage because it is a much more offensive-based Arcanine, and there is the Flamethrower in that Kartana slot. So again, Arcanine so offensive, not as bulky. That was Intimidated Crocodile.
Yeah, that was a really nice turn there by Ryota. Going for the Earthquake, he knew that Mandibuzz was probably going to switch out, knew that the Crocodile was faster and threatened to taunt onto it, so decided to switch out, bring in the Arcanine for the extra Intimidate, as well as threaten the Celesteal, and you know you're faster than Crocodile, so it was definitely a good turn there by Satoshi with, you know, what he was thinking he wanted to do, but it's just Ryota just read that so well, managed to just get so much damage done onto the Arcanine. Unfortunately, though, Arcanine is still faster than both Pokemon, so you don't want to let Arcanine get an attack off if you're Ryota. So you probably don't want to go for a Flamethrower onto Kartana this turn, which is, you know, unfortunate because you do give Kartana a chance to either sub, Swords Dance, or anything like that.
And here comes the Leaf Blade on Crocodile. So much damage. There's a critical hit right there. The Leaf Blade high critical hit ratio paying off so well. Now Arcanine gets to go for an attack that is going to mitigate that Intimidate with that Beast Boost right there. Ryota reacted to that, kind of just smiling, like, okay, I deserve that. Probably staying in on that Leaf Blade, which was safe, but whatever. Now the, Celesteal hangs on from that Flare Blitz, and Arcanine KOs itself. So right now, this Celesteal is going to be free to move, but it is heavily damaged here. Celesteal goes for a Flamethrower, going to connect onto that Kartana. Is it going to be carrying a Focus Sash? It is going to be carrying that Focus Sash, so no Scope Lens. That was just a regular Leaf Blade high crit ratio.
Yeah, so unfortunate there for Ryota, but you are playing with fire when you do risk a Leaf Blade targeting your Crocodile through Intimidate because, you know, you always have that critical hit chance. Unfortunately, Ryota, if that didn't crit, he would have taken a double KO this turn. However, it's still a decent turn. You bring Kartana down to Sash, you KO the Arcanine. Depending on what the remaining Pokemon are for each player, this could still be a good position for Ryota.
And Mandibuzz comes in right now. That's the Tapu Koko, so that Tapu Koko is now going to be heavily threatening that Mandibuzz in the electric terrain.
Yeah, faster than the Kartana. Electric terrain's up. It's threatening a ton of damage on both of these Pokemon. It's just, that's a perfect Pokemon to bring in here. If you're Satoshi, you're not happy right now. If you have Togedemaru in the back, I mean, that's kind of good, but we've seen Discharge. If you have Tapu Fini in the back, which would be good to turn off the terrain and bring that Misty Seed into effect
taking a hit
on your, onto your Mandibuzz. If it does go for a Discharge, then it's hitting both Pokemon super effective and still dealing pretty good damage.
And here comes the Tapu Fini. It is going to go ahead and change the terrain, take away that electric terrain, and at the same time activate that Misty Seed on that Mandibuzz and boost its special defense to allow it to deal a lot better with that Tapu Koko, but this is still a lot. Okay, all right. Instead, going for a Dazzling Gleam right there. Going to do super effective damage to that Mandibuzz, but that special defense boost is so nice. Now, Mandibuzz can go for a Tailwind. That Crocodile can no longer stay in and taunt. And now Celesteal goes for a Leech Seed, just doing Celesteal things here, setting up that Leech Seed for that end game.
Yep, wants to heal back up. Unfortunately, though, for Satoshi, neither of these Pokemon threaten a lot of damage. Tapu Fini is going to need some Calm Minds before it can really start dishing out the big hits. And Mandibuzz, Foul Play, not going to do enough to Tapu Koko and Celesteal, which had been intimidated. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a simple, straightforward Protect from the Celesteal and just a Discharge threatening a lot of damage onto both of these Pokemon, because a combination of a Moonblast from Tapu Fini and a Foul Play from Mandibuzz, despite Tapu Koko's decently high physical attack stat, it's not going to be enough to knock it out. Meanwhile, Discharge will do massive damage to both of those two Pokemon on Satoshi's side. If he switches Kartana in, that would go down. And then the Protect from Celesteal keeps it safe and lets it heal up more HP.
Yep, and there's still one more Pokemon sitting in the back for Ryota, which could be a hidden trump card, really. So it's dangerous. You want to make sure that you have all the right pieces. You don't want to sacrifice Kartana just yet. If you want to get Kartana in, it will probably want to be a safe switch while it can still abuse that Tailwind. Here comes that Foul Play on that Celesteal. Not enough to KO, but it still gets it down within range. And here comes the Muddy Water. Is it going to be enough to KO that Celesteal from this range? It is a bulkier Tapu Fini, and it does get the KO, so big knockout right there. But now Ryota's, yep, there's the Thunderbolt from Ryota's Tapu Koko, and that gets the KO on the Tapu Fini.
Yeah, so as long as Ryota's able to keep this Tapu Koko alive and stall out the Tailwind, then Tapu Koko can easily clean up with its spread moves against the 1 HP Kartana and the low HP Mandibuzz that isn't threatening damage to it with Foul Play and is weak to both Dazzling Gleam and Discharge.
Yep, and I believe there's still a couple more turns of Tailwind left. As long as Kartana can take advantage of it to outspeed this Tapu Koko and get that KO, this is still Satoshi's possible game. If that last Pokemon is Marowak, you know, that Mandibuzz does threaten that Marowak with a very powerful foul play.
Yep, so I think if you're Satoshi, you're kind of hoping to see Marowak just because you know Mandibuzz does threaten big damage to it with foul play, and you don't want that last Pokemon to be something that also is good against the Kartana and the Mandibuzz, because those are your last two Pokemon if you're Satoshi. You really need this last Pokemon to be something like a Marowak. You don't even want to see something like a Whimsicott, because just the amount of support it can do, the nature power is going to be enough to really clean things up.
Yep, Kartana comes back in for Satoshi, and there is the Tapu Fini. So really now you have to pick who you want to KO. Who's the bigger threat, the Tapu Fini or that Tapu Koko over on Ryota's side? You have to pick one to try to get the KO.
Yeah, so we do know that the Tapu Fini is choice specs from the previous game, seeing how much damage it did. So I think now you actually just have to attack with both. A combination of spread moves should be enough to take out these two Pokemon.
Yep, and there's the Leaf Blade, connects onto that Tapu Fini, but that does leave that Kartana wide open to get KO'd. With any attack, really a Discharge could even pick up the KO here. So now it looks like Mandibuzz going to go for a Roost. It's going to go ahead and really remove its electric weakness and heal back to full health. Not going to take that much damage at all. And here comes a Discharge, going to hit the Kartana and that Mandibuzz. But again, this Mandibuzz doesn't have that great of a matchup against that Tapu Koko. There is Life Orb recoil damage, and that is one out. You kind of stall it out and let it KO itself.
Yeah, that's actually big, the Life Orb recoil, because once Tailwind runs out and Tapu Koko does fire the Thunderbolt, Mandibuzz does still have that special defense boost, and there's no electric terrain, so it will be able to take a Thunderbolt or a Discharge if you want to go for more paralysis hacks, since that kind of has, you know, a much higher chance of paralysis. So that could be one option for Ryota, but the combination of Life Orb recoil and foul play should actually be enough to take out this Tapu Koko.
And here's a Protect right now as Mandibuzz going for yet another Roost, healing back to full health. And I believe a Discharge will not be able to pick up the KO thanks to that Misty Seed from earlier. The Tailwind does dissipate there. And here we go. Is the foul play and the Life Orb going to be enough? It's going to be close.
Yeah, the question, though, is do you go for the Thunderbolt and get that little bit of extra damage that Thunderbolt has over Discharge, or do you go for the full power Discharge that has the higher paralysis rate and try and get lucky with a paralysis plus full paralysis?
Or do you... Oh, he goes for the Discharge, trying to get a paralysis, or do you go for the Tailwind to allow yourself to roost back even more? And here it goes. The Mandibuzz does not get paralyzed, does set up another Tailwind, and that should do it. Mandibuzz can easily just roost off any damage that Tapu Koko does, so Satoshi really pulling this one out from behind.
Yeah, I guess there is always the chance, though, of, you know, if it is able to survive a foul play. I don't know at this range, but if it does go for a Roost, then something like a Dazzling Gleam critical hit to bypass a special defense boost. I don't know how much damage that would do, but it is single target, so maybe?
Yep, and here we go. Tapu Koko goes for a Discharge again after that Roost. Gonna not get enough damage at all, as Tapu Koko now is just one more Life Orb recoil away, so really just Roost here to stall it out. You could go for the foul play, but I think a Roost is also the safe play as well. And here we go, yet another... Oh, nope, it's just going to go straight for the foul play, and that is enough to get the KO on Tapu Koko. Anyway, so Satoshi Iwataki bringing it back. We're going to Game 3. Ray, what great adjustments by Satoshi.
Yep, that was a great adjustment by Satoshi, bringing the Kartana. We saw it got the critical hit Leaf Blade on Krookodile, which was huge. That allowed Satoshi a chance to win the match, and then he was able to get the knockout on the Tapu Fini in the back on Ryota's side. It did go down, but the Focus Sash kept it around long enough to be able to pick up 2 key KOs, and that was enough. So yeah. I like the adjustment by Satoshi, but still, he did have to get that critical hit to be able to win this match. So if I'm Ryota, I don't even know if I need to make much of an adjustment. The Celesteela was still good. So, you know, I like how Ryota played. I think regardless of whether he keeps the Celesteela or it goes back to Marowak, I think regardless of that choice, he's still in a favorable team matchup. So I like either choice. I think Celesteela is more reliable if you want to rely more on resist and bulkiness. Marowak is a lot better at just, you know, walling something like an Arcanine. We saw how much damage that can put out. So if you're more worried about something like the Arcanine, then, you know, Marowak is certainly a reasonable choice. But Celesteela, a lot safer. Good against Kartana, just like Marowak. Not as good against the Arcanine, but certainly a lot better against something like Tapu Fini. It can get Leech Seed recovery onto the Mandibuzz and really try and stall things out. So we'll have to see how Ryota decides to adjust. Regardless, I love the combination of Tapu Fini, Tapu Koko, and Crocodile, so I think those three are kind of set in stone for this matchup.
Yeah, and, I absolutely loved Ryota's reaction to that Leaf Blade critical hit. That was such a crucial part, and he kind of just smiled, right? And,
yeah.
He's here just having fun, but of course he's also here to win. It looks like Satoshi has locked in his team, and Ryota now trying to make adjustments. Doesn't want to just surrender at all. He had all the pieces. He wants to think about all his options, all of his outs, to try to make sure that he has what it takes to move on to the top 8. And Ray, this is it, Ray. This is game 3 between two of the best Japanese players in the world.
Yep, so really exciting. The pressure is going to be on in this match. We've got the Japan national champion on the brink of elimination. However, he's just as close to moving on to the top 8. It all comes down to this last match. I mean, his team is really well made. We saw it have the advantage in both games 1 and 2. If it weren't for a critical hit, he might have won that game number 2. So, you can't let that critical hit get to you. You got to focus, stay calm, and it looks like you can see on his face just how focused he is and how kind of relaxed and in the zone he is for this game number 3.
And here we are getting into it, game 3 between Satoshi Iwataki of Japan versus fellow countryman Ryota Otsubo, the Japanese national champion. Give it up for both of these players who have come a long way. And it looks like the players are ready to send out their leads. It's going to be Kartana and Mandibuzz, the exact same leads for Satoshi. And Tapu Fini and Whimsicott makes an appearance there for Ryota. It is going to actually activate the Misty Terrain and also proc the Misty Seed on Mandibuzz, so Satoshi didn't even have to bring in his own Tapu Fini.
Yeah, so really good lead here for Satoshi. He threatens a lot of damage onto both of these two Pokemon with the Kartana. Kartana really doesn't care too much about either of these two Pokemon, Tapu Fini or Whimsicott. However, since it does have the Focus Sash, if it does take something like a Moonblast or a Muddy Water, it's going to be taking a lot more damage than it might, want to take, even though it does resist those hits. However, it threatens so much damage onto them. If I'm Ryota, you have to think I might want to switch out at least one of these Pokemon to something that is able to better deal with that Kartana.
Yeah, and, well, that Tapu Fini looks pretty threatened. If that Tapu Fini stays in, it will just straight up get KO'd, and that is one of the offense powerhouses on Ryota's side. But instead, it looks like Whimsicott goes for a Charm here, going to connect onto that Kartana and drop its attack stat by a lot. But of course, Leaf Blade is a critical hit. That's not a critical hit at all, doing only about 50% right there. Tapu Fini now, Mandibuzz gets to go for a taunt on that Whimsicott, not allowing it to use any sort of setup moves at all. And here comes the Dazzling Gleam from Ryota's Tapu Fini, doing good damage to both Pokemon on the other side of the field, but most importantly, breaks that Kartana's Focus Sash.
Yep, so a good turn for Ryota there. He loses some HP on the Tapu Fini, but I think of the Pokemon on his team, that's one of the weaker ones. I think he's okay trading Tapu Fini's HP to be able to better deal with the Mandibuzz, take out the Kartana, because we saw just how much work those two Pokemon put in the last match. Mandibuzz, once it got the special defense boost, was really able to stall things out, provide some Tailwind support, and Kartana picking up key KOs, so definitely a good turn for Ryota there. I think the trade of Tapu Fini for these other two Pokemon is certainly worth it.
And here we go. Kartana switches out right now. It is going to be the Arcanine coming right back in, trying to take the Dazzling Gleam a lot better. Also preserving that Kartana for just a little bit later. The Intimidate is not going to matter at all against these two Pokemon as Whimsicott switches out and resetting that taunt, wanting to use that support for later on. Crocodile comes right back in, and because that Kartana was faster than that Whimsicott, the Crocodile gets the last laugh because it gets to drop its Intimidate on that Arcanine while it is free of any Intimidate. And here comes the Tailwind from the Mandibuzz, and Tapu Fini again going for a Dazzling Gleam. Gonna hit that Mandibuzz, but Mandibuzz can easily just roost it off.
Yep, so still a good turn for Ryota there, getting the damage done. Arcanine is going to be in Earthquake KO range, it looks like. So if by chance Tapu Fini wants to risk switching out, it's a little risky if you switch in either Celesteela or Whimsicott or something like that and try and go for a dual Earthquake, predicting Mandibuzz to roost to try and pick up both targets with a lot of damage. It's a little risky because you're staring down an Arcanine. You don't want Arcanine to try and predict that. Go for a Flare Blitz into the Tapu Fini slot. So you might not want to go for something like that. Maybe a Ground DMZ move is safer against the Arcanine. But still, Tapu Fini definitely at risk here if Arcanine does have something like a Wild Charge, which is certainly possible considering we've seen it be in a more offensive variant of Arcanine.
Yep, and time almost runs out right there. Tapu Fini now retreating, going to preserve that offensive powerhouse because it's not going to be doing much against that Arcanine at all. Whimsicott comes right back in, and it appears it is going to be a Gigavolt Havoc coming out from this Arcanine here. Most likely going to target down what was that Tapu Fini slot, but it's a good switch on Ryota because of the fact that the Whimsicott resists this Gigavolt Havoc.
Yep, so really good switch there by Ryota, getting the Whimsicott in on this resisted hit, and now Arcanine's going to be at risk to this Crocodile.
Yep, not doing that much damage at all, and here we go. The Crocodile is going to be able to... Well, sorry, the Mana Buzz goes first, going to go for a foul play in that Crocodile slot, not doing that much damage at all, and Crocodile going to go for a taunt on that Mana Buzz to prevent it from possibly roosting or using any other setup moves. Maybe a Tailwind after the Tailwind right now expires.
Yeah, that's probably what it looks like Satoshi is going for here. Would rather prevent Mana Buzz from healing up because he saw just how dangerous it was in that last match. Would rather kind of take some extra damage on this turn right now that Arcanine, it's still hanging around. Ryota could have taken it out that last turn, instead valuing Mana Buzz's HP more, knowing he can take Arcanine out at a later point.
Yep, and again, this is a battle of the wits going on. Satoshi almost running to time every single turn, just trying to make the smartest decision that he possibly can. And in this situation, it's pretty tough. Like, that Arcanine can threaten that Crocodile. We've seen how much damage it does in the past. It is intimidated though. Mana Buzz now switching out, going to try to reset that taunt, but it also resets its special defense boost from that Misty Seed. Tapu Fini going to come right back in as Ryota switches out his own Crocodile, preserving that Intimidate for later and also saving that Crocodile to match up better with that Arcanine once that Tailwind expires. The Electric Train does come out here, and it looks like it's going to be a Normalium.
Oh.
That's going to be a Nature Power, which boosted by that Electric Terrain is going to be a Gigavolt Havoc into what could be that Tapu Fini slot, which was that Mana Buzz. So this might be doing a lot of damage right here.
Yeah, this is going to be huge, especially since Tailwind is on the verge of running out. This could be enough damage to allow Ryota's Tapu Koko to just sweep Satoshi's entire team.
Yep, and that lands into that Arcanine. Does so much damage.
That's
boosted
huge.
By that. Picks up the KO. Big knockout right there on Ryota's side. So now Satoshi has to try to think about what the best switch-in is. Mana Buzz can come in, but again, it's going to be taking either a Nature Power or a Thunderbolt.
And it's at such low HP. This combination of Tapu Koko and Nature Power Whimsicott look like they're in prime position to win this match for Ryota. That was a great turn. That totally turned the tides of this match. What a play.
Yeah, I guess a lot of Whimsicott do carry Normalium Z just for this situation, and it's so cool because it just changes depending on what terrain it's functioning
Exactly.
in.
It adds so much more versatility to your team. Depending on what situation you're in, you can choose what type of Z move you want that to be. Do you want it to do electric damage? Do you want it to do fairy type damage? You have the choice. You have the control. You have both terrain setters on your team, and at this point, he knew the electric was the way to go, and we saw just how effective that was.
Yep, and here comes the Tailwind on Ryota's side from that Whimsicott, as now it looks like, well, alright, Tapu Fini instead goes for a Muddy Water. So now the Muddy Water is going to connect onto Tapu Koko and Whimsicott. No accuracy drops. Never mind. I spoke way too far ahead of myself. It does get an accuracy drop on that Whimsicott, and here comes that Dazzling Gleam from that Tapu Koko. Picks up the KO on that Mana Buzz. There is still that turn of Tailwind, which is why that Tapu Fini went first.
Yeah, and it looked like Satoshi maybe miscounted the turns of Tailwind. It looked like he went for the Tailwind, and it failed. So now his Tailwind's running out. Unfortunately, Tapu Koko is going to be faster than everything. The electric type moves are going to do way too much damage. Satoshi won't be able to handle those, and Whimsicott is also threatening a lot of damage and going to be faster than everything, and it even has a Tailwind up to boot. So
tough position, and of course that Kartana is already damaged. And it's not exactly the most bulky Pokemon in terms of the special side. So this could do it here for Satoshi. It looks like Ryota is in prime position to seal the deal and move on to the top 8 here.
Yeah, that accuracy drop went on the wrong target. He wanted it on Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko can now just fire off a spread move, and it's not going to miss.
Yep, and Tapu Fini now protects itself as it looks like the Nature Power from that Whimsicott turns into Thunderbolt, hits that Kartana. Kartana hangs on, but it looks like a spread move should be able to get the KO. It is going to hit into that Tapu Fini Protect, and here it is, that Discharge going to pick up the KO on the Kartana. Almost gets the KO on Whimsicott itself.
Critical hit.
And that really should do it, because now the Tapu Koko over on Ryota's side can easily just go for a Thunderbolt and also a Nature Power to boost it into a Thunderbolt. Can hit that Tapu Fini, so it looks like Ryota has all the pieces, and it looks like it's lining up for him.
Yeah, very well played game there by Ryota. He made the adjustment, decided to bring in Whimsicott to change things up. We saw all the tricks it can do. The Charm kept Tapu Fini around a lot longer, set up Tailwind for good measure. That Nature Power, of course, with the Normalium Z, just so effective at turning the tides of this match, knocking out the Arcanine in the electric terrain.
A paralysis to boot, and here we go. Thunderbolt from Tapu Koko connects with that Tapu Fini, and Ryota Otsubo, the Japanese national champion, moves on to the top 8 here at the World Championships. Well played set from both players. You know, Satoshi really came back in game 2, and it just really came down. It really came down to that last game where that Normalium Z turned into that Gigavolt Havoc and knocked out that Arcanine. Such big damage. And Ryota, well, congratulations to you, because you're in the top 8 and you're one step closer to becoming the world champion.
Yeah, you could see just how happy he was to win that match. He knew he was on the brink of elimination there in Game 3, and he played such a wonderful set.